Well, this is one of those situations where I'm kind of put in a situation where I gotta cover, in a critical way, a YouTuber that I normally like. Somewhat similar to when I made my video calling out Muda from Some Ordinary Gamers, who'd made a bit of a misstep on a take he'd had about Pepe being claimed to be a hate symbol. He didn't read the whole ADL page where they specified you had to look at the context of its usage to determine whether or not it's being used anti-Semitically or not. Obviously, not all of its usage is a hate symbol, but people just neglected that entire paragraph or paragraphs of that page and said that the ADL said Pepe is a hate symbol through and through always. And I corrected him on it, and he had a pretty positive reaction. However, today, we're talking about a different YouTuber, very different realm of content in general, that I actually really like. You see, I am super into guns. Like, I love guns. I fucking love guns, dude. I'm so pro-gun, you can't even handle it. I'm so pro-gun, I've got a gun right there. That's a gun case. I've got one right there. I love my guns. Guns are great. They're based, they're fun, they're loud, and they make things explode, which is cool. I like that. I like shooting an onion and watching it go pop downrange. Here's the thing, though. If you like guns, and you like gun content, which you probably do if you like guns, then you're pretty much exclusively going to be fed to a very select group of gun channels on YouTube. Now, granted, you know, as somebody who watches a lot of gun content, I won't lie to you and say there's not a very large and diverse community of people, but the three biggest ones are obviously Brandon Herrera, Hickok45, who I really like, and, what's the other guy? Garand Thumb. There are a bunch of other people, but these three are, like, the big guys that everybody knows, from what I've heard. Like, when I talk to gun people, everyone knows those three. And back in the day, it was FPS Russia, but he doesn't FPS Russia anymore, for reasons involving weed and the federal government. You can probably guess what happened. Anyway, Brendan Herrera is the person we're talking about today. And I must admit, for a very long time, I've really liked his videos. I like them a lot. His series, Darwin Awards, is fantastic, where it's just him going over different examples of people using guns in a stupid way, or, like, in getting themselves hurt or other people hurt, which, you know, part of it is the funny, like, people blowing their dicks off with a gun, and part of it's also, like, the constant reaffirmation of those fundamental rules, those 4 rules of firearm safety that were come up with by, what was his name, Colonel Cooper? I think it was Colonel Cooper is his name. Obviously, treat every firearm like it's loaded. Keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. Always know what is in between you and your target and what is beyond your target. And I'm blanking right now because I don't know what I started with now. Wait, which ones have I already said? Wait, which ones have I already said? This is what I get for listing something while stoned. Getting stoned and listing things is my weakness. Oh, yes, and the 4th rule, of course, have fun no matter what. But yeah, you know, he hammers home the fundamental rules of firearm safety. You know, always point your gun in a safe direction. Always treat a gun like it's loaded. Never keep your finger on the trigger until you're ready to shoot. You know, keep it off the trigger. And always know what's between you and your target and beyond it. He hammers those rules home in a very entertaining way, constantly, repetitively, to the extent that you cannot ever forget them, because anytime you would even think about putting your finger on the trigger when you're just, like, walking around, or even thinking about putting your finger on the trigger to dry fire it when you 100% know it's empty, you still should have this anxiety that makes you want to check it one last time before you dry fire. And, you know, his content around the gun world has always been pretty good, but as time has gone on, especially in the last year, I've noticed that he's gotten a lot more open with his non-gun related politics. Now listen, if you're super pro-gun, hell, if you're someone in America who makes their living off of gun content, I genuinely can't blame you if you vote Republican. I can't. The Democrats are not only so misinformed, but downright antagonistic towards legal gun ownership, not even like criminal, like intention and criminal use of guns, legal gun ownership is seen as like something to look down on a significant portion of Americans for on the left. Like, oh, you own a gun, you redneck hicks, you know, like that kind of mindset that a lot of Democratic voters have that want to get guns like completely banned. And so if you're somebody who likes guns, you're going to come to this channel and you're quickly going to find that if you want to keep your gun rights, at least as far as these YouTubers will tell you, the only way is to vote Republican. Now, if that's where it began and ended, I wouldn't really have much of a problem with them, because frankly, if really all you care about in the realm of politics is guns, and like all you care about when you walk into that voting booth and vote is guns, I can't really blame you if you vote Republican. I can't really blame you, because you don't give a fuck about anything else. However, I've started to notice some more right-wing takes, culture war issues getting referenced in Brandon Herrera's videos lately. Notably like, Bud Light cringe, woke bad kind of stuff, you know? And that definitely put me off his content a bit. But he started to explode enormously in popularity even further as of late due to some announcements he made recently. Now, we'll go ahead and take a look at some of his recent videos here. Like, you can see, he's a big channel, and his content is, old man pee-pee smacks climate protesters. You know, he's definitely got a certain political leaning, but it's mostly gun content. It's mostly just gun content with, like, smatterings of right-wing culture war shit in there, you know? Nothing that's so overt that it's really worth calling out. I will say he recently did this this event called he posted a video of it called "We hosted the biggest YouTuber range day ever." Now, to be clear, I don't think everybody who went to this was a bad person. I know people who went to this event. Not like I'm not super close with any of them, but like I have spoken to people who went to this event. And as you can see from the first frame, there's some pretty questionable figures that are invited. This is like the big range day where all of the right-leaning YouTubers who like guns that are in this sphere of like dude bro gun YouTubers and like edgelord types, even Sam Hyde, all got together to shoot at the range and bro down. I saw lots of posts on it on Twitter the day this happened. This is like a big deal on YouTube. What? Go ahead and watch a moment of it. Maybe you can spot some YouTubers.
Me and Donut Operator just hosted the biggest creator range day of all time. We invited YouTubers, streamers, pro fighters, meme lords, my son, to a private range day hosted at Demolition Ranch's brand new range. I brought out a ton of my personal machine guns, sponsors brought some of their own guns, and between me, Donut, and Demo, we put on the biggest creator range day.
So, like, overall, I've just kind of found, yeah, and Donut Operator is like in that same realm too. I've always just found like bits like this just to be a bit more cringe from him. Like, oh yeah, we're hanging out with the right-wing bros. It's just like, I'm just gonna stick to watching your videos where you make fun of dumb fucks shooting themselves because they can't follow firearm safety. But yeah, Wendigoon. Yeah, Wendigoon's also quite right-leaning from the bit of politics he's let out on podcasts and stuff I've seen him on. Anyway, here's the thing, though. All that kind of... it didn't bother me too much. Like, I was still willing to look past it. It didn't seem like it was worth me making a video about and, like, saying, hey, guys, check this out. Until I saw this image. Brendan Herrera did a video with Marjorie Taylor Greene, or like a selfie. I'm trying to see if I can find it right now. Dog, I swear, I am not Mandela affecting this. Please tell me I'm not Mandela affecting this. I swear to God, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Brandon Herrera, like, took a selfie together. And people were, like, sharing it around. And it was, like, a big thing. Wendigoon has all the energy of a youth pastor who says shit like heckin'. You know Wendigoon's day job is that he is a youth pastor, right? He deleted the photo? No shot. He deleted it? I know for a fact I'm not making this up. Does anyone have, like, a repost? Anyway, well, I can't find the image, but this followed, or I should say was followed by, an interesting announcement. Brendan Herrera is going to be running for Congress in Texas District 23. Here's his poster, his announcement he made. Make America Texas again. And he also put out this short video on Twitter explaining his running for office. I honestly think he has a good chance of winning. I haven't looked at the polls or anything like that, if there even is any polling yet, but considering the fact he's bringing a massive amount of support into this, it seems quite likely that that he's going to probably end up like having a good chance of winning at least. He'll put up a good fight. His fans deleted their copies to try and scrub it from the internet. Really? I mean, it does look pretty bad for him to associate with Marjorie Taylor Greene. People like this guy and Wendigoon. Listen, I like Wendigoon's content and I like this guy's content, but I'm not going to pretend like they don't hold political opinions. They obviously do. Both of them are very obviously quite right-leaning, but have a large audience of people who want to defend them from that accusation because they know being framed as like conservative or right-wing is like kind of a bad look in a lot of spaces. So instead of defending the views that they hold, they argue they don't hold the views they hold. So like Wendigoon, I've seen go on podcasts and talk about how he's like anti-woke. He's like a youth pastor for his day job. He's like very clearly right-wing, especially when you see him on PKA. He tries to keep it a little more clean because he's got like a big reputation to preserve, but you can tell, you know, he's got some pretty iffy beliefs, right? And he and Brendan Herrera and other content creators like this rely heavily on a massive audience of people arguing on their behalf that you're just a weirdo if you think they're right-wing. Yeah, you can be conservative and not a monster. That's the thing that I feel like so many people don't understand. I guess, to be fair, a lot of people on the left use conservative, right-wing, or any other like a word that is synonymous with like conservatism as a thought-terminating cliche. For those who don't know what a thought-terminating cliche is, it's basically just accusing someone of something that is bad and everybody just immediately agrees is bad, right? Like pedojacketing is a thought-terminating cliche, right? Like, oh, I can't win this argument. I'm going to accuse you of being a pedophile, and everyone hates pedophiles, so if everyone thinks you're a pedophile, then I win the argument, right? That's an example of someone using a thought-terminating cliche. A lot of people on the left do this with conservative. They just say, oh, this person's conservative, and then just leave it at that. Like, this person's a bad person. They're evil. They're awful. There's no good in them. There's no, like, way they could improve as a person because they're evil. I don't believe that. When I say like YouTuber I think is conservative or right-wing, that's just me saying what I think their politics are. There's many YouTubers that I watch that are right-wing. Like PKA, I straight up have to, like, tune out when they start talking about politics because it is so mind-numbingly bad. Like, I have to keep myself from forgetting that I'm not live and actively, like, pausing to debunk stupid shit they say. But then they go back to talking about weed or guns or, like, movies or fitness, and I'm like, okay, now we're talking about something that's funny and interesting with these guys. Yeah, I don't think there's, like, I don't think being conservative makes you a bad person inherently. I think the reasons you're conservative can make you a bad person. So, like, large right-wing pundits that just lie out their ass know that they're lying most of the time, and the reason they're pushing these ideals and are publicly presenting as conservative are not the same reason I think Brendan Herrera is. I think this guy is genuine in his beliefs, and I know for a fact he is genuine in his pro-gun beliefs. Also, I believe he's working on this, like, project to create a 50 caliber AK called the AK-50. He's like a big AK guy. He loves AKs. And so, like, I fully support it. I want to see the AK-50 become reality. I don't hate this guy. I don't want to see his downfall. I want to see him make the AK-50 happen.
I announced I am going to be running for Congress.
That's why I'm running for Congress.
I will be challenging the establishment Republican Tony Gonzalez for the District 23 congressional seat in the Republican primary for 2024. What I guess inspired this is that a large number of the politicians that liberty-loving Americans have turned to defend these ideals have failed. It's like once they win their...
To be fair, Republicans aren't even all that good at preserving gun rights. Like, in some cases they are, But when you consider the fact that it should be an easy... I used to have a chair exactly like this. What the fuck? Guys, my grandma had a pair of chairs identical to this. Like, it's all like one big thing, and it's like denim. It's like denim fabric. It's way bluer when it's not in this light. Like, the light is distorting it, but I know for a fact, like, holy shit. I don't know, like, it's an old chair, too, a nice old chair, so it stood out to me when I noticed it. He's still your grandma's chairs? No, I still have them. So he just has, like, an identical chair or chair set, which is crazy, because they'd be old if that was the case. Irregardless, that aside, I do think that, like, considering the fact most Republicans should have a layup opportunity to just abolish any laws that crack down on legal gun ownership, considering the Second Amendment exists, and they can just point to that. Republicans really let the Democrats take a lot of ground on gun issues just so they can have guns as a wedge issue to lean on, right? Like, if there was really no real risk of Democrats taking those rights away because Republicans shot them down at every opportunity, then there wouldn't really be much of a concern about Democrats getting elected in the first place as long as there were a couple of Republican judges, right? Because all it takes is one Republican judge to shoot down, like, California's more than 10 magazine law, right? So with that in mind, I feel like the Republicans let the Democrats take a lot more ground so that they can fearmonger about the Democrats taking so much ground. It takes one Republican judge, one federal judge in a state to shoot down a law on the basis of the Second Amendment of our Constitution. It's really not hard. So he's not wrong there when he says that most even Republican politicians aren't that pro-gun, at least in their actions and their policy making.
Have failed. It's like once they win their first election, they feel untouchable in the primaries. We have to remind them that if they fail to uphold their oath to defend the Constitution, we will primary them, we will campaign against them, and we will win.
Like, he's running against Republicans here, to be fair. Like, he's running against a Republican in a red district. So it's honestly not that... Like, there's nothing destructive he's doing here. Obviously, he may be looking at starting a broader political career, but, like, besides his more cringe social takes that I've seen from him dipping into culture war issues, I like his reasonable takes on guns. He is very well reasoned on guns. His takes on guns are really good. But, I feel like the antagonism against the Democrats, the well-meaning antagonism, the well-earned antagonism against Democrats, is leading to some pretty cringe shit. He does go anti-illegal immigrant takes in this. Yeah, no, he's also, like, obviously any Republican is anti-illegal immigration. Most Democrats are anti-illegal immigration, but, like, the definition of illegal immigration varies widely depending on who you're talking to on the right, because, like, white nationalists consider any form of non-white immigration to be illegal immigration, pretty much. Wait, Wendigoon's conservative? It's so bizarre to hear about a conservative that isn't a predator/domestic enemy, but I'm sure there must be plenty. Yeah, it's just that, like, people don't realize that a lefty saying someone is conservative doesn't necessarily have to mean they're saying that person is a bad person. Like, I just think he's got some, kooky off political values that, like, I could tell where he got his beliefs from. When it comes to guns, it's obvious. It's because the Democrats are just awful when it comes to guns, and even downright incendiary towards legal gun owners and try to make them an other or an enemy. But outside of that, it really just seems like it's mostly just culture war shit rubbing off on large public figures. And audience capture as well. Like, if you're a pro-gun content creator, you likely are also going to have a pretty right-wing audience, and so you're going to get stuck into audience capture. Listen, I get a lot of shit for this, but I've lost a lot of subs before because I refuse to give in to audience capture. Stuff like the Afghanistan thing, and, like, many other takes I've had that weren't popular with, like, the broader left, like with tankies and stuff. I had an audience of tankies early on, and I very easily could have just yes-manned my audience and grown way larger than I am now. But I've gone through purges, and I've gone through, like, massive controversies and cancellations. this is the kind of thing that a lot of content creators can't do. They fall into audience capture. They become a slave to their own audience. They become so afraid of upsetting their audience and losing them that they won't go against them. They won't say the unpopular take. They won't change their mind publicly because they've established an audience of people who already agree with them. Overall, what I'm trying to say is I don't think Brendan Herrera is a bad person. I definitely disagree with him on some stuff, but I overall like his content. And the fact that he's now getting into legit-ass politics means that I'm going to be following him. I'm going to be looking in. I'm going to be seeing if he's saying some bullshit or if he's saying some base shit. Simple as.